quick commerce seems to have sidestepped the US for a long time. I think you went to big box retail and then you went to another thing altogether.
Yeah.
Not necessarily competing on, I will deliver in 6 minutes, I will deliver in 7, and I will deliver in 8. Why is that?
Because the cost of labor in the US is too high. So that's my take, which is with quick commerce, you can't automate that much because the cost of the automation doesn't bear out in a small box. So you have to use human labor. And so in markets where the cost of human labor is not there and the concentration of customers isn't there, you get a fail, which is, for example, let's say in the US.
Right.
I think that GoPuff is making a good run at it. But you look at the development of that market versus Blinkit or some of the other developing markets, it is absolutely working much, much better in lower cost labor markets than it is in high cost labor markets.
Is there an arbitrage there because your drivers are not essentially employees? Is there a labor cost arbitrage? Because they're gig workers, they run their own cars, they don't need to be paid benefits, insurance.
Yeah, there's a trade-off there, right? Which is we can't tell our drivers when to work, right? So imagine if Starbucks is hiring a barista, they don't go to the barista, hey, show up whenever you want to, and we'll pay you however much a Starbucks barista makes per hour. So you could call it a labor arbitrage. I call it a trade-off, which is the driver and the courier can decide when and where they want to work. That creates cost for us. We then have to build liquidity of supply and demand, and sometimes we will use incentives and or algorithms. For example, surge are circumstances when demand exceeds supply, and in those cases we have to actually raise prices for that demand in order to attract enough drivers to get out into the market to pick up everyone arriving at 7 p.m. on a Thursday night at the airport, or when the Warriors game is done.
Right.
So it's not an arbitrage mechanism. It is a trade-off that also is an enormous benefit to certain people who don't want to work on a schedule, who want to work less than 40 hours a week. 70% of our drivers and couriers are working less than 20 hours a week. So it is a unique product market fit that we found. It works for drivers and couriers. It works for us. We have to build very complex systems in order to make it work. And I think overall, when you look at society, it's good for society, right? It's a service both for the drivers and for customers that works. And I think more and more societies are appreciating that.